Unfortunately, this is the first update that's going to be boring. Fortunately, it's because the tooling's under construction and it will soon be completed, and from there we build the beta, test, mass produce. So until we go back to China in approximately 10 days to watch the tooling start coming off the production line and we'll start to test it, what I thought I'd do is quickly go over the 5 things I've learned over the last 5 years producing Bronson. The first one starts with a quote by Bill Gates, who said that humans often overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. I definitely did that. When I first conceived of Bronson, I thought within a year or two I'd have a finished product. It's now the 5th year and we're about to have a finished product. We have achieved so much in the last 5 years. At about the 3rd year mark, I Googled what is the average time for a blockbuster movie, and it was 4 or 5 years. And what's the average time for a successful album? 4 or 5 years. And what's the average time for something else? 4 or 5 years. Good things take time, and this is no exception. So here we are, 4 or 5 years later. The second thing I've learned in this process is that rock bottom is actually a trampoline. Now what I mean by that is in COVID, I lost everything. I come from the corporate coffee sector where we supplied automatic coffee machines and roasted coffee and serviced these machines for corporates nationally around Australia. We were extraordinarily successful, grew every year, $1, $2, $3, $4 million, and then COVID came, and the second thing it shut after international borders was offices. Now Melbourne is not only the coffee capital of the world, but we were also the most lockdown city in the world. I lost everything during that time. I declared bankrupt, the company was liquidated, and so started the journey of what's next. Fortunately, because of the lockdowns, I had spare time, and that's when I was gifted a DeLonghi and was frustrated with it and pulled it apart, and it's led to today. In that time, of course, I spoke to people and people heard about my plight, and 2 people stood out. One said, "I wish my children can go through what you're going through." And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? There's a lot of pain and frustration and loss here. Why would you want your children to go through that? And he said, because it's going to shape you into the businessman you're going to become. Several years later, I can understand what he meant, but at the time, you can't. And the other gentleman said, I knew both these people were quite successful. It just shows that they've gotten there via the same route. And the other gentleman, I think I said to him, I'd hit rock bottom, but it's okay, I'm on the way up. And he said, it's not rock bottom. He said, it's a trampoline. You bounce back higher. And what a beautiful thing to hear when you're hitting that trampoline. So 2 things that really stood out and in hindsight make total sense. The third thing I learned is community. It's been 5 years, and as you all know, we started the deposit phase and we got deposits for the eventual launch of Bronson, and the support and feedback and love and just overall vibe of the community, not just on the Facebook group but with emails, has been tremendously rewarding. And I'd go so far to say that it is definitely equal to any other success we may taste from here on in, if not even more rewarding. There's no secret why the number one cause of long life is having a community around you. It is such a fulfilling, satisfying emotion, and it gives you such motivation to push further and harder. And it's just, I can't thank the community enough for the love and inspiration they give all of us here in Bronson. The fourth thing I didn't see coming was authenticity. We're in the age of social media, recording and talking and posting. I grew up in the 80s, 90s, and everything was shiny and shiny wrapper and brand. And it had to look big, otherwise we didn't trust it. I feel like that tide has changed, and when we see the realness behind a brand, we trust it more than a shiny wrapper. From my first video till now, it's taken me a while to get used to talking to camera, and I've still got that first one posted up on the YouTube page, and I always think about deleting it because it was such an awkward exchange, me trying to be professional. But since then, I just talk now to camera and let you know exactly what's happening, how I'm feeling, who I am, the process involved, and the feedback has been overwhelming. The congratulations I get for expressing myself, for being vulnerable. There's been times when I've cried on camera. It was summed up best by one of the very first backers, Mr. David D, who reposted my first ever reveal of a prototype, and it was the roughest video. I had no experience with filming, and it was just, I looked awful because I wasn't sleeping. We had a newborn, and it was such a rough, raw video. And he reposted it to LinkedIn and said what I just said, that back in the day I would trust a polished video more than something like this, but maybe because the age of AI, this video is so raw and real that I actually trust him even more now. So yeah, authenticity is underrated, and I'm learning to express myself more and more freely and openly. And the fifth thing I've learned is, who says you can't do it? We got a lot of comments during our advertising period. How dare you think you can compete with DeLonghi and Jura? And how dare you think, and who are you, and what gives you the right, and why can you do it better? And a lot of comments along that line, and even myself in the early days, before I knew which manufacturer we're going to choose, before I knew which product designer we're going to use, there were moments where I was frustrated or lost at times. But now that we're at this point, that we have built a coffee machine, it is there. Once the tooling's built, that's it. Bronson is technically built. Everything has led to the tooling, and once the tooling's built, everything derives from the tooling. Now that we've built Bronson, and we've got the multiple prototypes and we've tested them, and we know the difference between our machine and machines that have come before it. Once upon a time, DeLonghi was started by an individual who thought there was a better way to do something. Once upon a time, there was an individual who created Jura and thought there was a better way to do something. The same with every other coffee machine brand out there. The same with any other brand out there. Most big brands that have ever existed were started by an individual who thought there was a better way to do something. Conversely, these big brands, when they get big enough and they're publicly listed and they have a big budget and they have their corporate structure, what they end up doing is hiring people fresh out of university with their brand new degrees and ask them to continue on in the same vein that this company's always done. The language, the branding, the look. They get stuck in a cycle of repetitiveness. Just because a corporate is big doesn't mean they're right. Just because someone is little doesn't mean they're wrong. I'm fortunate that I'm of the age and of the experience that I have enough self-belief to know that maybe my perspective is right and I'm willing to better myself. There was one visit in particular in China where I was there for a week and I saw other manufacturers and I saw the manufacturing plants and big publicly listed ones, and I realized, the curtain had been lifted. There's no mystery here. It's not some whiz-bang, fantastic, magical land of, these other competitors create this thing, pull it out of a hat. It's just magic. It's a known formula. Manufacturing is a known formula, and that curtain's been lifted. And I know that we can achieve what we've set out to achieve. We are achieving and have achieved what we've set out to achieve. And there's no reason why anyone who has an idea, who has a concept that they feel deep down is a better way of doing it, that they know that their way is better, there's no reason why you cannot do it. Things will happen along the way that will allow you to achieve what you know deep down in your heart is true. Things will come to you. It will happen. And the past 5 years is testament to that. Investors, product designers, customers, help comes just when you need it. If you're staying true to your belief and you believe that belief, it will happen, because it's happened. Bronson's happened because deep down in my core, I knew there was a better way to experience coffee at home. There had to be a better way because the current way wasn't working for me. So I went out to set out a way that worked great for me. And I'm so fortunate that there's others out there who felt the same way. So Bronson's getting built. We're 3/4 through May. Tooling's due to be completed first week of June. From there, we start the testing process. We make parts from the tooling. Those first parts become the beta models, so we'll ship the beta around the end of June. It's not a fast process to make those models. It's the first time we've ever made Bronson on a production line. We only make 10, 20, 30 a day, especially in the beginning. Also, with those first models, we do the electrical certification and we do all the testing, the heat, the cooling, the drop test, all the tests that I've shown in prior videos. We do all the testing and we start preparing for the mass production. The tooling was the magical piece, and everything prior, I know it was delayed. We changed a lot of things and it frustrated some of you. Others loved it because they wanted that change. There's no more changes. The tooling's built. Bronson's built. Now it's simply a matter of getting Bronson into your hands. So 2026, the year of Bronson. Thank you all for being you, and we look forward to sharing your stories of your experience with Bronson